The Arctic, a realm of ice and wonder, where the land meets the endless sky and the sun can disappear for months or shine without setting. Far from the bustling cities and crowded landscapes, the Arctic is a world apart, a place where survival is an art and beauty is both fierce and fragile. Imagine standing at the top of the world, where the North Pole lies beneath a shifting sea of ice. Here, temperatures can plunge far below freezing, and the wind carries a chill that bites through even the thickest clothing. Yet, despite the harshness, the Arctic is alive, teeming with creatures adapted to its extremes, and home to cultures that have thrived for millennia. The Arctic Circle, an invisible line that traces a path through 8 countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, the United States, through Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and Iceland, marks the southern boundary of this polar region. Within this circle, the sun behaves in strange and enchanting ways. During the summer solstice, the sun refuses to set, bathing the land in a golden light that lasts for weeks. In winter, darkness reigns, broken only by the dancing curtains of the aurora borealis, the northern lights. Life in the Arctic is a delicate balance. The sea ice, which grows and retreats with the seasons, is the foundation for much of the region's ecosystem. Polar bears, the undisputed monarchs of the ice, rely on it to hunt seals, their main source of food. These great bears roam vast distances, sometimes traveling hundreds of kilometers in search of prey. Their enormous paws act like snowshoes, spreading their weight so they can walk atop thin ice. But the Arctic is not just home to polar bears. Walruses haul themselves onto the ice in noisy herds, their long tusks glinting in the low sun. Narwhals, sometimes called the unicorns of the sea, glide through icy waters, their spiral tusks. Oiks, a mystery that has inspired legends for centuries. Seals, Arctic foxes, snowy owls, and countless seabirds fill the region with life, each one perfectly adapted to the cold. Beneath the water, the Arctic Ocean is as rich and varied as any tropical sea. Cold currents flow between the icebergs, carrying nutrients that support enormous blooms of plankton. These tiny organisms are the base of the food chain, feeding everything from fish to whales. Bowhead whales, with their massive skulls, use their heads to break through thick ice and breathe. Beluga whales, known for their haunting songs, travel in pods, communicating with clicks and whistles that echo through the dark waters. The people of the Arctic, indigenous communities like the Inuit, Sami, and Chukchi, have adapted to this environment over thousands of years. Their knowledge of the land, sea, and sky is unmatched. They hunt, fish, and travel in ways passed down through generations, respecting the animals and the rhythms of nature. Their languages, stories, and art are woven into the Arctic landscape, telling tales of survival, resilience, and connection. Yet, the Arctic is changing. The world's rising temperatures are felt here more than anywhere else. Sea ice melts earlier each spring and forms later each autumn. Glaciers retreat, and permafrost, the frozen ground that underlies much of the region, begins to thaw, releasing ancient carbon into the air. These changes threaten not just the wildlife, but also the people who call the Arctic home. Climate scientists use the Arctic as a kind of laboratory, watching how ecosystems respond to rapid change. They study the ice, the atmosphere, and the ocean, hoping to predict what might happen as the world warms. Their findings are sobering. Polar bears must travel farther to find food. Walruses gather on land in dangerous numbers when the ice disappears, and entire villages face erosion as the coast crumbles. But there is hope. International agreements seek to protect parts of the Arctic from oil drilling and overfishing. Indigenous voices are increasingly heard in decisions about the land. Scientists, artists, and storytellers bring the wonders of the Arctic to the world, inspiring action and awe. The Arctic is more than just ice and snow. It is a place of profound beauty and importance. Its cold, clean air drifts across the planet, helping to regulate the world's climate. Its oceans are a refuge for species found nowhere else. Its landscapes, from the rolling tundra to jagged mountains, are breathtaking in their vastness and silence. Imagine the colors of the Arctic. In winter, the world is painted in shades of blue and white. the sun a pale orb on the horizon. In summer, the tundra blooms with wildflowers, purple saxifrage, yellow poppies, and the delicate white tufts of cotton grass. The sky, endlessly vast, can turn pink and gold at midnight, or erupt in green and purple as the aurora dances overhead. The sounds of the Arctic are just as magical. The crack and groan of shifting ice, the distant howl of wolves across the tundra, the splash of a whale's tail breaking the surface, the laughter of children bundled in bright parkas, chasing each other across the snow. For those who visit, the Arctic is unforgettable. Travelers come from around the world, drawn by the promise of adventure and the chance to see wildlife found nowhere else. They ride dog sleds across frozen lakes, paddle kayaks alongside glaciers, and marvel at the silence of a world untouched by time. Some come to witness the midnight sun, others to see the aurora borealis, nature's greatest light show. Yet, the Arctic is not just a destination. It is a reminder of our planet's fragility and of the deep connections that bind all life. What happens here affects us all, no matter how far we live from the ice. The Arctic story is one of adaptation, resilience, and hope for the future. Let's journey deeper into the heart of the Arctic night. Here, in the depths of winter, darkness lasts for weeks or even months. Yet even in this long night, life goes on. Animals grow thick fur or feathers, and many sleep through the hain, the coldest months. People gather in warm homes, sharing stories and songs, keeping traditions alive against the backdrop of endless night. Then, as the earth tilts and the sun returns, the transformation is swift and astonishing. Rivers break free from their icy grip. Birds return by the millions, filling the air with song. Caribou migrate across the tundra, traveling hundreds of kilometers in great herds, a spectacle of life and movement. The Arctic, so long asleep, bursts into activity, making the most of the brief summer before the cold returns. Scientists studying the Arctic have made remarkable discoveries. They have found fossils of ancient forests, proving that this land was once warm enough to support trees. They have drilled into the ice, uncovering records of our planet's past climate, layers that reveal times of warmth and cold stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Each discovery adds to our understanding, showing how interconnected the Arctic is with the rest of the world. The Arctic's resources have long drawn explorers and adventurers. For centuries, people searched for the Northwest Passage, a sea route through the ice linking Europe and Asia. Many ships were lost, trapped and crushed by the shifting ice. Today, as the ice retreats, new shipping routes open, raising questions about the future of this fragile region. Oil, gas, and minerals lie beneath the Arctic's surface, tempting companies and countries with the promise of riches. But extracting these resources carries enormous risks. Oil spills in the Arctic would be disastrous, as the cold and remoteness make cleanup nearly impossible. Many people argue that the Arctic should remain a refuge, protected from development, and preserved for future generations. Indigenous peoples have always been the stewards of the Arctic, their lives intertwined with the land and sea. They teach us that the Arctic is not empty, but full of meaning. A place where every animal, plant, and person matters. Their voices are crucial as the world decides what kind of future the Arctic will have. The Arctic inspires art, music, and stories. Its landscapes have been painted by artists seeking to capture the play of light on ice, the vastness of the tundra, the majesty of a polar bear in the wild. Writers and poets have described its silence, its beauty, and its power. For many, the Arctic is a symbol, a reminder of nature's strength and vulnerability. In recent years, the Arctic has become a focus of global attention. World leaders meet to discuss its future. Scientists warn of the consequences of inaction, and activists campaign to protect its unique environment. The choices we make now will shape the Arctic for generations to come. But the Arctic is not just a place of challenges. It is also a place of hope. New technologies help scientists monitor ice and wildlife from afar. Communities share knowledge and work together to find solutions to climate change. Young people, inspired by the beauty and importance of the Arctic, speak out for its protection. As you listen, imagine the Arctic as it is today, a place of wonder, resilience, and transformation. Picture the ice stretching to the horizon, the animals moving in silent harmony, the people who call this land home. Remember that the Arctic is part of our shared planet, a treasure to be respected and preserved. In the end, the Arctic's story is our story. Its fate is tied to the choices we make, the values we hold, and the dreams we dare to pursue. By protecting the Arctic, we protect a part of ourselves, a reminder of the wild beauty that still exists, and the hope that we can create a better future together. So, let the Arctic inspire you. Let its vastness remind you of the world's possibilities. Let its resilience teach you about survival and adaptation. And let its beauty move you to action so that future generations can stand at the top of the world, marveling at the ice and sky, and know that we cared enough to protect this extraordinary place.